recording. Jess,
Hey,
how
what's
are you?
up? I'm good. How are you doing?
I am good. I haven't talked to you in forever, actually.
I know that's really a devastating thing, honestly. It's been way too long.
Not only that, but I mean, it's coming up on a year since we hung out in Mexico.
I know, right? Last March. Good
Oh, yeah, it was
times.
March. Early March, right?
Yeah. Man, I
Damn.
really miss Mexico.
That was a good time. Anyways, before we go any further, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jess Kaller, and I don't know what else to say about myself. I always have my hands in lots of pots, so I don't know if I'm supposed to divide myself with the work I'm doing or nonprofit things or just living life. But yeah, I don't know
All,
where to go from this.
I don't know,
I
all
feel
of
like
the
I should do
above.
this again. Yeah. So I work in lighting. I work in architectural lighting. I love my job. And one of the most fun things is, like seeing projects come to life and actually lighting them up, which is punny and annoying, but it is actually my favorite thing about the job. And then I do my own design build consulting company. So I work on like really amazing properties, mostly in the Hamptons and the Hudson Valley that I can only dream of living in someday. I really hope. And I do like integration services. So I do help design and integrate all of the electronics in a home. And I
Isn't
also,
isn't there like a whole shortage of like stuff because of the supply chain
oh yeah,
thing?
we can talk supply chain stuff if you want. I've been diving deep into that in the past year. It's been a real fun journey. Um, but
All
yeah, I
I
mean, look,
know, all I know is that it's Biden's fault. That's what Facebook tells me.
oh, that's great. I'm glad you're using Facebook as a news tool these
I
days.
mean, where else would I get my news? Come on.
Well, Biden's actually giving a press conference right now. You could hear it from the horse's mouth.
Nah, I'll wait for Facebook to tell me.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I guess, and then the third thing that I have been focusing on for a long time is this nonprofit work that I do with the Museum of Reclaimed Urban Space, which is a really awesome, unique thing in the East Village. It's on Avenue C between 9th and 10th. And the museum is about abandoned spaces that were reclaimed for community use. And it's actually located in what used to be a squat. It's now a co op. So lots of really interesting work being done there as well.
Now that part's really cool because if I remember right, you're like on a committee that helps select films and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, technically, my title is I'm the director of development. So I do fundraising and I make sure we pay our taxes and stuff. So that's really fun. It's the job that no one else wants to do. So I did it and I haven't stopped doing it. This is now the 10th year I've been with them. So the film thing you're talking about is a film festival that we started as like a primary fundraiser for the organization. And it's such a cool event. We do outdoor screenings in a different community garden in the neighborhood every evening for like consecutively for the duration of the festival. So yeah, I am part of the film selecting committee, but I love that we have really great interns and volunteers now. So I do less of the really control of the whole thing than ever before. It's very I don't know how to describe this. Sorry, I'm having a little like slow brain day, honestly. Went for it last night with a bunch of work friends, but I am really lucky that we've gotten a lot of really wonderful people that have taken the reins on that project. So yeah, like the last couple of years, I've been a little bit more hands off, but this year coming back in hot, it's the 10th year anniversary. It's going to be a really big event this year, and we're going to throw a gala as part of it for the first time because it's been a challenge fundraising. I mean, especially through COVID, but we do
What
really really important community work. So it's a really wonderful event. It's always in the end of the summer, so we'll probably be doing it in September this year, like the first or second week of September. And we'll have a 5-day festival this time.
so the end of September. So maybe at the end of September or what's the month before that? August?
Yeah, August.
Damn, I'm so bad with months.
You're like end of September. No.
I'm like, wait a minute. We're in January. That's nah, but maybe you
Yeah,
have to come
it's a ways out.
yeah, but maybe you'll have to come back on and promote that.
Yeah, I would love to when we
Because
have
that
like anything put together. We usually start the planning in March. So
that's right. Because I remember what was it, 2 years ago when we went to Jersey?
Yeah, can you believe it? That was 2020. I was very lucky that I quarantined at like a family beach house property. And you guys came to visit, you and Eamon.
Yeah, you, me, and Eamon. And I remember you on the phone talking to these people about movies and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
You're like, that's not what she does. What's happening here?
No, but that made me jealous because I love all the film type of stuff. But how did you get involved in this museum?
Well, so before we move on, I do want to say like this is an open thing. It's an all volunteer run organization. If it is something that people want to be involved in, we love having more people join the community, and it's a great way to give back. And a lot of people, when they think about doing community service, it's like, I don't want to pick up trash or like deal with, going to a nursing home. And this is a really interesting way that you can like really make a measurable impact and help preserve these amazing green spaces in our awesome city, and really help enrich the neighborhood by being part of the organization. So
How
I
would they? How would
invite
they?
people.
How would they sign up or get more information?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm happy to give people like my MoRUS email. You can email the Museum of Reclaimed Urban Space. We're on Instagram, Facebook. You can get your news from us on Facebook. That's fine. Twitter, all of the platforms. We have a really great core team that gets back to everyone, and they'll put you in touch with the film festival committee, and we'll start meeting in March. And it really is like every person that shows up gets a vote and a say, and we love when people kind of take on their own responsibility and projects and bring their views and resources to the table, and it's very collaborative. So it's an open door. We're always welcome to have new people.
All right. Well, I'll make sure and share all of these social media
Yeah, I'll send
links.
you all the links and stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I will
it's
make sure
it's
and share
definitely
that.
been a passion project of mine. I said this is the 10th year we'll be doing the film festival this year, so that's extra exciting. I got involved when I was a graduate student and I was an intern for the organization. So I really honestly didn't want to live in New York at all. I had two other paid positions in California, and the director of my program really steered me, i.e., like insisted that I take this opportunity in New York that they had queued up for me. I hadn't even looked for this at all. They were like, this would be a great fit. The assistant to the founder of this amazing 501c3, which I didn't even know what that meant at the time.
What does that
Um,
mean?
it means it's like a tax exempt nonprofit organization, um, which is great. So if you have, we are catching people before they've filed their taxes for the most part. If you've got money that you need to donate for tax exemptions, hit me up. I can help you with that. Yeah, so I got involved with them as an intern and really dove in. The founder had just launched it 6 months before I joined him, and there was so much to do. We had just opened the museum. Hurricane Sandy came and ripped everything out effectively in the basement. The whole thing flooded. It's a 2-story establishment. And we had rebuilding and we needed to make money. No one had done fundraising. It was just like a group of people that had a dream to preserve this really unique history in the city and help save the community gardens, which if people don't know about them, it's really shocking to learn that those are they were abandoned spaces that effectively like a group of hippies kind of came and reclaimed by planting, cleaning them up and making them green spaces, planting all kinds of things in them and making them kind of like little urban oases, but they're not permanent by any means. The like governor gets to decide annually if they will keep them as gardens and renew the lease with the community garden boards. Each group has its own board, and members that run the space. So they call them members. They would never call it a board, but on paper and legally, it's a board.
How does that
um,
how does that happen then? So like there's just empty space, hippies come in, clean it up, plant stuff, and then who comes in and says, "Hey, this is now a public green space," or
it's not public green space. So that's the thing. It's really that like they have an annual renewal of the lease between the gardeners, like the co-op of gardeners, and the city. And those leases are for $1 a year. So you can imagine like
oh.
some of those spaces, like my one of my favorites is El Jardín del Paradiso, like the Garden of Paradise, down on Avenue D. That's almost an acre large. Like that amount of space in Manhattan is really freaking valuable. And obviously, developers are not just like, oh, you know what? That's a cute garden. We'll leave it be. It's a constant fight. Like most of the fundraising I do goes to support legal action to defend the gardens and preserve them from them being developed.
So
So
is that
it's very political. It's very complicated. This
yeah, I was
is
gonna say, so
why
then who owns it then? Is the city that owns
the
it?
city owns it. So if we
Okay.
go back even further, I could probably have retold this in a much more coherent way. I apologize.
Nah,
Um,
this is a conversation. Let's go.
yeah. So the city was in turmoil. There was a huge drug epidemic and there was a lot of riffraff, and downtown Manhattan was pretty much abandoned by the city. There weren't public resources being offered. Like if there was a fire, the firefighters did not come. There was no trash pickup. Like this was kind of just like a out of sight, out of mind area. So people that lived there were squatters for the most part. These buildings had been abandoned by the owners. We had obviously New York and downtown was a huge hub of immigration. And then when things kind of started to fall apart, people just abandoned their properties, often setting them on fire to collect the insurance money, honestly, like not thinking that the value of the real estate would ever come back. We were in the middle of
Hmm.
doing Western expansion and whatever. People were kind of moving out of cities at that point. So there was so many abandoned buildings. So when you stop paying taxes, I mean, this still applies today. You stop paying
Right.
taxes on the building, you're not paying the more, whatever. The bank repossesses at a certain point, it gets reclaimed by the city. Like if you're so defaulted, which is what happened to most of that neighborhood, and especially the empty lots in places where the buildings had been burnt down or it was just rubble. So that they are city owned. So when you were squatting or making a garden or whatever, using any of these abandoned spaces, you were on city land. So there was a whole process of getting these spaces recognized by the city, which started the whole process of leasing them annually. But they're still under threat. Like these gardens, there used to be over 300 in the Lower East Side alone, and now I think we have 34. So
Damn.
there's still, like, Elizabeth Street Garden is one that I encourage people to check out because it's super cool. Just like go get your bacon, egg, and cheese and a coffee and like eat it in Elizabeth Street Garden.
Where is that?
And it's I want to say right off of Houston Street. That's the one furthest towards Nolita. All the other ones that I work with are truly in the Lower East Side and Alphabet City for the most part.
Gotcha.
Like, but that one is, I mean, that area, Soho, Nolita area, obviously the real estate is extremely valuable, even more so than Alphabet City. And it's constantly like it's a battle where the developers already won and we're kind of like doing this actual direct action standoff at this point. So it's really interesting stuff. And the more you get involved, the more there is to uncover. But for me, it was really interesting moving into this city and walking right into this community because these are people that are super passionate, and really believe in the work that they're doing and have great pride in the spaces that we're working in. And it was just such a gift to fall into that community as a new New Yorker. And it's been a huge anchor for keeping me here for sure.
That's awesome. It's weird because so if it's not a public space, can you turn it into a public space?
If we turn it into a public space, the idea that I have heard, going to these community board meetings and talking to people about this, they're afraid that if it becomes a public space that's city controlled, it's just a matter of time before a developer makes an offer and it goes away entirely, it becomes a building.
But if you guys have the lease, then you can prevent that.
Yeah, like we are kind of like stewards of the land in that sense.
Hmm.
Like each community garden board is kind of like taking on stewardship of their little green space.
And then the little green spaces, are they like gardens? Like they're actually growing food, or what is it like?
Yeah, there's all different kinds. I mean, I really encourage people to check them out. And if you are finding that you can't um get into the spaces, they have to be opened by someone that is on the, like, that has keys. So these boards and the groups that I'm talking about, like all of those members, you get keys after a certain point. There's obviously like a vetting process. They're not just like,
Right.
you can't just sign up. You're doing work. And a lot of it is, a lot of the people that are in this group, they're older, they're getting older as time goes on, obviously. So just like any lease, if you were like renting a building, like you're responsible for snow removal on the sidewalks and stuff like that like you wouldn't even think about for these gardens. So a lot of like, if you want to get in a garden, the best thing you can do is go there and be like, I will shovel the walk and ice it and salt it when it snows. Like the things that people don't want to do. Oh, that will get you the most brownie points ever. Like and so effectively it's sweat equity for these spaces, to get to befriend everyone. Um, Sorry, what was the question? I forgot what I was going for with that.
No, I was just asking like what's in the green spaces, right? Because
Oh my God, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say. I mean, in my head, I just see kind of like what's it called? The High Line. Like that's what I'm visualizing.
Yeah, no, I mean, they are really like gardens. It's kind of hard to explain because this is such a like unique thing in the city. It's almost like if you took one of the smaller parks and put a fence around it and allowed it to kind of be whatever people made of it. So Elizabeth Street Garden, I was just talking about, that is a huge sculpture garden. This guy had a massive sculpture collection, and I think he's since passed. I don't know the details of him, but anyone there would be excited to tell you the whole story. But there's these amazing collection of sculptures from all over Europe that are in that space. So it's like very much, that's why I said that's like a place to grab your breakfast and go sit there. There's a lot of seating and it's just like a really nice tranquil area. The El Jardín del Paricio, that's like kind of shared between these group of, I don't want to call them yuppies because they're not. These are like really genuine people, but like the people that are like really growing stuff. And then there's like a really rich Puerto Rican community there. So there's like a little casita and there's always like grandpas playing cards or dominoes and stuff. And, there's like a grill, like which things that you can't do in a public park, right? Like you can't have a grill out there. That's not going to work. And we have like, obviously we do the movie nights. People use it for birthday parties, all kinds of stuff. So there's, I mean, plenty of gardens that have like a pond with turtles and fish and stuff. We've gotten grants and had chickens before at the garden between C and 9th and 10th. That was actually a project I worked on because I was really like interested and engaged in all of these like childhood education programs for a while where, like I grew up in Philadelphia. We had a backyard, even though we were in the city. Like you just have like more exposure to nature and stuff. Like
Right.
thinking that there are people that grow up. I mean, obviously it's one thing they never get their license, people that grow up in New York, but you grow up in the city. Like a lot of these like people don't have the resources. They're not going with their parents to go to a farm and like see where the like chicken nuggets they're eating are coming from. Like for a lot of those kids, that was like the first time they were like seeing, obviously we grow food and plants and stuff. And it's very like nice to have that tactile learning experience where of course there's tons of vegetable gardens, herbs, like it's amazing what people grow and do with the space. And they've figured out how to have raised beds so that the toxins that are in the city aren't getting into the soil that they're growing their food in. And people are really bright and come up with all kinds of solutions. But the chickens were such an interesting adventure. The biggest problem was honestly homeless people trying to steal them to eat them, which was not an issue I had anticipated. Like I was like,
That's incredible. Like one giant chicken nugget.
I was like, not. Yeah, that was
I mean,
so
where
out
the
of
hell
left field for me.
where would they kill them and cook them?
I don't know. I don't know what their plan was. Who knows what kind? I mean, who's to say? But yeah, that was, and then now the kids are attached to the chicken. They're learning about the chickens and how they lay eggs and all the whole process of that. And now they're slowly disappearing. Now we have to explain to the kids where the chickens are going.
They're going
You
in
have
that
like
Happy
really
Meal.
like Yeah, you've got like really rough parents that are like, we keep it like we got to keep it serious. Like, tell them the truth. Like, what happened? And I'm like, can you take that one on, mom? Like,
Homeless Harry over here
oh
grabbed the chicken,
gosh, yes, yeah. Yeah, so
sold it to a local restaurant.
I mean, obviously, we support homeless people, and the film festival last year, like we donated all of our earnings to local food banks. Like, not the Food Bank of New York is wonderful, but there's a bunch of like local partnerships that we have, and we try to really support the local community um, in everything that we do. So you're not going to find us partnering with Target or Whole Foods, right? We're going to be partnering with like the amazing local restaurants that have been there for 30 plus years. So it's a hard thing though with having these open spaces and so much homelessness that's rampant, especially downtown. So that's part of the reason why you're not going to see the gardens just like open like a public park. Like, we have to take care of the spaces, and when things go awry, like someone has to step up and handle it. So that's why the spaces are not open. um there's a lot of work that goes into making them what they are, and once you go into one, you'll be like, wow, now I get it. They're really magical little hideouts in the city. But if you are wanting to check them out and get like a full overview and see what they all have to offer, we do walking tours on Saturday that leave from the museum. And the schedule is updated seasonally because obviously they start much later in the day in the summer and earlier in the winter due to sunlight. But it's a really great way to see all of the spaces because obviously the guide has keys and you can actually get in everywhere and see what's going on and learn a little bit of history of each space, which is not my specialty. I get to do the tax work, but
Every part of that organization matters, right? It keeps it going. So
yeah,
that's
someone's got to do it.
yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know it was like that. What's the word? It entailed that much work.
Oh yeah,
And
and it really takes a village.
yeah, that's really cool. So if I wanted to kind of like check out some of these parks, does the website kind of have a list of each of the spaces?
Yeah, the website has tons and tons of information that'll give you like a really interesting history about the neighborhood, about the museum, about the gardens. So it's a really great place. There's a tours tab if you want to look at that. There's exhibits that are always listed. So I think there's a tab that says specifically community gardens, and you can see a map there. And there's a bunch of other like nonprofit partnerships that we have that help us make all these resources and pull them all together. And the website is MoRUSNYC.org. And I believe our Instagram is MoRUS NYC as well.
All right,
So
I'll post everything. I think that's awesome. I think everyone listening who is in New York City should definitely check it out.
yeah, and it's a great thing to do if you're going to visit New York. This is not like something that most tourists are doing. Actually, most of our tours are, and it's been a weird time for COVID because Europeans haven't really been coming here, but it's a lot of European people because this is like a very normal concept abroad that we just have trouble with as Americans. We're like, someone has to own everything here, right? Like, it's like there's so much like I don't know. We struggle with this community thing, I think, in America.
Well,
So
that's called socialism, and that we don't
it
accept that. This is
doesn't have to
America. We
be.
want our freedom, okay?
Yeah, well, everyone is free, It's not right. Anyway, it's really such a unique and cool thing to be part of. So I encourage everyone to get involved too.
Well, I apologize for not checking it out earlier, but you pretty much sold me right there.
It's okay. This is the 10th annual film festival. It's going to be a rager. So it's never been a better time to get involved.
I'm all in. I'm all in. Well, that's awesome. Like I said, I'll make sure and check it out. I'll post a website. I think this weekend is supposed to be sunny. I don't know how hot or cold it'll be, but I'll definitely go check it out. It's not going to be like Mexico, but it'll be close.
No, I mean, you're not going to find me personally on a walking tour in the winter. That's just, I belong in Mexico during these times. I so badly want to be in the sunshine right now, but here we are.
I actually, I actually wanted to have you on a lot earlier because I actually admire, well, not just admire your work in the community, but I admired your balls to go to Mexico by yourself for a couple of months.
Oh yeah, I did that. I go everywhere by myself. It's kind of my thing.
But I mean, it's just like one. Some people are afraid, right? Like they don't want to go somewhere by themselves to like a foreign place. I don't know how well your Spanish was before you got there, but uh, I mean, obviously, when I showed up, you were speaking Spanish to half of the people there, and it was pretty well spoken, I think.
It's okay. It was okay.
I mean,
I
they
get by.
understood. They understood.
Yeah, I spoke Spanish already. Obviously it gets rusty with times that I don't use it, but I actually lived in Spain when I was 18 for about 4 or 5 months, and then again when I was 21 for about 6 months. So I wasn't going in blind on that front. And I got to Mexico because I was actually going. There was like these three girls that were in work in my industry for work. So again, I do architectural lighting full time. That's where my paycheck comes from. That's how I pay rent. Um, and there were three girls that were going, wanted to go for over New Year's. We had all been in lockdown for almost a year at that point. And so we rented a place together in Playa del Carmen, and we were all working remote. And when we were getting towards the end of that 2 weeks, I had already decided, like, why am I going back to the city right now? I'm gonna just be working from my laptop anyway. I'm not paying rent there. I may as well pay rent here. So I found a beautiful island, an hour ferry away, and I posted up there. And at first I was like, oh, I'll be here a month. And one turned to two and ended up being 6 months.
Were you there for 6 months?
Yeah. Yeah, I got there in
Damn.
December and I came back in June. Yeah, it was a time. I miss it quite a bit. I made a lot of really great friends there. Cozumel is the island I'm talking about where I ended up staying. You obviously visited me there. I think it's a special place. And it was, kind of the antithesis of the Tulum vibe. Like when I say it to everyone that I was in Mexico for 6 months, they're like, "Oh, you're one of those Tulum bitches." And it's like, I don't, not really. No, thank you.
What the hell does that mean? What's a Tulum bitch?
Oh my God, everyone went to Tulum from New York. If you went to Tulum during 2020 or 2021, it was like everyone there was from Manhattan or Texas. It was
Huh.
crazy. It was just like overrun with, whatever. Just people. I mean, you want to talk about gentrifying places? Yikes! That was.
Well, I remember. No, but what I was gonna say earlier is that I admired your courage to just kind of get up and go, right? Because I had the option too. Like my lease, like expired like in the beginning of the pandemic, and I was like, all right, what am I gonna do? And I was just like, fuck it, I'll just stay here. And even then, I mean, uh, rent wasn't that much, so I could have gotten up and just gone somewhere, right? Like you did. But I don't know. Like for me, I was just too afraid of like I don't know missing out on something, right? Like I really enjoy New York City, and just the idea of not being in the city just kind of like like
Well, I admire that you stayed like equally. You went out and were like seeing something that is hopefully never going to happen again, right? The city was totally shut down. You took these amazing photos of these streets that are always full of people, just totally empty.
that was so
Um,
creepy.
I know. And maybe just a little too creepy for me, honestly. Yeah, so I mean,
So you grabbed the margarita and like kicked back in Cozumel.
I would have never gone on a flight if I didn't have that push from, like, I don't want to call them colleagues because we don't like technically work together. They were people I was trying to do business with. But once I was there, I was like, what am I going back to? And why am I going back? I hate the cold. I love scuba diving. Right. So I had a choice there. And I was like, you know what? If I get sick, I get sick. Like I'm young. I obviously don't want to be getting COVID and like suffering in a foreign country. However, at that point it was like, what's the difference? The hospitals were like overrun at home anyway. I was like just kind of weighing the options there, and for me, being able to have access to sunshine and the ocean was just like so much better for my mental health and productivity than being locked in a small apartment in Manhattan. So it was kind of a no-brainer to me. And yeah, it was a little intimidating at first. to be there alone. Like I started my journey with renting a 1 bedroom, a tiny house with a big wall, is what I told my parents. Um, and then I learned how to ride scooters and motorcycles there. So that was really fun. But also like a really terrifying experience, but no better time to do it, right? There was almost no one on that island when I was there, which was a really magical and unique experience as well. So it was cool. I definitely no regrets. I would like to be back there now, if we're being honest.
No, I mean, yeah, right now with this cold and short days and everything else, it's like, man, what the hell? Why am I here?
I
I,
know.
I actually just got back from New Mexico, and even though it's not as warm as I expected it to be, it was still a lot nicer than the 20-degree weather out here.
Yeah, we're about to get a big snowstorm. Buckle in.
Wait, are we?
Yep, it's coming.
When?
Like tonight.
Is that real?
Yeah, it's very real. It's gonna
Well,
start this evening.
see, that's one of my biggest weaknesses. I never check the weather. So I'll wake up and I'll see snow and I'll be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well,
Like I said, I thought New Mexico was going to be super warm. And then I get there and I'm like, shit, I should have brought a jacket, but I survived.
yeah. I mean, speaking of solo adventures, I went to Paris. I don't know. When you were in Mexico with me, I was living in Mexico and I was studying French
Oh,
every day.
yeah, I do remember that.
I had made this like New Year's resolution for no like real reason. I just was like, I speak Spanish now. Like I had tried to learn German in 2020 um on the internet and like using apps, and that is never gonna happen. Like that's an immersion language. Like, no chance.
Why,
Um,
why, why is German not?
it is so difficult. That language is
Mm,
so hard. I mean, there's a lots of languages that they're like the whole structure of the language is so different than ours that like
mm.
even wrapping your head around how to translate things is just out of my realm. And then pronunciation is so important. Like I barely learned French, but I can read and write it, and that's really helpful. And like the pronunciation can come, and that's fine.
Right.
But German, no way. Like that I don't understand anything, and I was like doing it for months, and then I was still like on the first level, and I was like, screw this. Like next year we're going to do a different language that follows the same structure as Spanish, and we're going to get somewhere. So I did it every single day of 2021. I took my little French lessons and I went in October to Paris for a couple weeks, and that was awesome.
Did you
But
did you
it was
speak?
much colder than I anticipated as well. Like that was rough.
Yeah, I don't like this whole like cold thing. Like, do I really have to go all the way down to like closer to the equator? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess it makes sense, but still, I would.
definitely.
I don't know, because like in North Carolina, it didn't get that cold that often. So in my head, I'm like, all right, New Mexico, that's just gonna be hot, right? Nah, I
But
was
New
wrong.
Mexico is a desert as well, right? So like at night it gets real cold, and then in the day it gets really hot.
Yeah, again, I don't think things through very often, so I just grabbed a hoodie and I was like, I'll be good.
I hadn't really spent a lot of time in the desert, but I did this whitewater rafting trip down the whole Colorado River a few years ago, and that was shocking. It's like so hot during the day, so cold at night, and the water is freezing. You're like baking in 110-degree heat, but the water temperature that's splashing you is like just above freezing. It was
Jesus.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
no
was one of the
thanks.
craziest experiences of my life for sure.
Wait, when you went to France and you spoke French, did they give you like mean looks? Because I've heard that the French don't like it when foreigners try and speak French. But
I
that's a huge generalization. But I'm just
I
curious.
disagree. I disagree. And you know what? I think it went a long way that I had been practicing for so long before going. I wasn't just like saying hello and thank you. I was like able to ask things. And that's not to say that I understood every response I got, but I found that people were really like gracious and nice to me. There was one person the whole trip that was rude to me. And I think for almost 2 weeks, that's pretty solid. Yeah, no, people were really generally pretty polite. But also it's a city, right? So I was
Right.
really just in Paris the whole time, which I really wanted to check out. I think I would love to work in Paris. Like my dream is to do my lighting thing and be LA, New York, and Paris. That would be like a dream come true to be able to
Hmm.
kind of bop between those hubs. But I I think it's people in urban environments are much more like open to people from all over. Whereas like when I spent time in southern France, like if you didn't speak French, they would not even acknowledge your existence. So it's like Different places are different, obviously. Like you're gonna get a different situation in Texas versus Manhattan. Like same shit.
That's so funny because that's like a universal thing, right? Like cities are just more, I don't know, used to diversity, maybe, if that's the right way to think about it.
I think so. And like they're just used to seeing people from all over versus,
Right.
you pop in a small, charming town in southern France. They're like, you do not belong here and we don't want you here. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't really
gotta.
care how much cheese you're buying. Like,
Yeah. Take your money back.
yeah.
Nah, I got invited to France in November, and I kind of regret not going. But at the same time, it was like, oh, it's gonna be cold. I don't speak French. I don't know. It was just like, do I really want to spend the money just to go? I don't know, like kind of a last minute trip. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I regret it or not, but I definitely passed up on it. And it's like, oh well, I can always go another time. I'll take you with me so you can translate.
Yeah, for sure. And I made a lot of really great friends there. That's kind of one of the beauties of traveling solo. Like not only does no one try to wake me up before I want to wake up, but you like really get to meet local people, set your own agenda, like get to kind of like immerse yourself, which I find is even traveling with like one other person just like doesn't happen as much because people, it's like going to a bar by yourself. Like someone's going to probably talk to you. If you go with a group of people, like you are engaged in that. And yeah, I really like that part of traveling alone.
Yeah, that's something that I've talked to a lot of people about. Is like traveling alone, and whether like, and 99% of the people that I talk to are like highly recommend everyone at least once in their lifetime travel somewhere by themselves.
Yeah, just don't do it somewhere super romantic, like the Maldives or something. Like that shit sucks. Like
They'll just sit there all alone, nice and depressed.
so many couples. You're just like, oh, this is so romantic for me, myself, and I.
Me and my drink.
I was worried about that in Paris too, but I actually did not find Paris to be a very romantic city. I think it's a beautiful city and it's clean, which was really eye-opening when I came back to
You
Manhattan.
said it was clean?
So clean.
Man, see, I keep hearing all these different things. I don't know. I guess I gotta go check it out myself.
Well, okay, this is coming from a New Yorker. It's very clean for a city. Like, right,
Gotcha.
that's a major city. It is like it's so clean compared to here where we just like have literal garbage piles everywhere. Like it's disgusting here. I mean, I love New York, obviously. The whole first half of this conversation was about all of this amazing work we do to preserve this culture and community.
But by
But
the way, New York's a dump.
it's pretty much the whole city is equally housing and trash bin. And it's not bins; they're just out there. Like it's just crazy.
But how would like, okay, but all right, maybe I haven't been to Paris, so I don't know, but in my head, if it's a true city, like a dense city, where do you put trash other than the street?
Well, like okay, Chicago, for example, like
No,
there's not
don't, no,
trash
no. Yeah,
everywhere.
but Chicago's not dense at all. You need a car.
Yeah, but downtown, if we just looked at downtown, still they designed the city with alleys. So like that to me is like an old city that just was like better designed for urban living. The alleys are built into the infrastructure in Chicago because that's where the trash went, so that you weren't walking next to it on the street. We didn't do that, and we haven't really come up with a better solution, I guess. I mean, you would think we have a lot of money to solve this problem, but here we are. I mean, also their transit system too, clean, efficient, like amazing. Versus, you go on our subway, like yikes. If there's not a homeless person sleeping on your car, like that's a 1 out of 5 chance. Like it's
Take that E train at past midnight, and
like,
you'll see.
do you sit on the bench? Do you not sit on the bench? Right? Like the materials that we use to build things. I mean, and this is something else that I just find really like interesting and I'm passionate about. Like the bench, I'm sure that the subway system and that infrastructure is so much older in Paris, but the materials that they've used when they've redesigned and kept modernizing things are like metals and plastic that can be sanitized and cleaned. Like we have these wood benches, which this is like the most disturbing, disgusting fact of my day. I recently learned that most bed bugs are being spread from those wooden benches in the subway stations because
Hmm.
they live there and everyone sits on them. And it's like they're looking for hosts, and you can't get rid of. We're not even trying to extinguish the bed bugs in the subway stations. Like they're a bigger fish to fry, right? So it's just like, what are we doing?
All right, so if there's one thing to learn today is don't sit on the wooden benches in the subway.
Really try to avoid sitting on any wooden things in the city. Like that shit's gross. Like,
Never thought of that.
yeah, now you know. The more you know.
All right, I'll stop spending the night on those benches.
Yeah, yeah. Find a metal park bench.
No,
Just,
but I do agree that the subway here needs to be modernized. But that being said, I don't think you can compare it to Chicago. Like Chicago, I love Chicago. I've been there a million times, but they are not anywhere near as dense as we are, and their subway does not go everywhere like this one does, in my
there's no
opinion.
yeah, no, it's not even an opinion. There's no city like New York in America. Like
Right,
like
it's as unique as it gets.
that's why it's interesting. I mean, you can compare like London, Paris, New York, Hong Kong, like these are other like major urban
Yeah, the
hubs.
Hong Kong and like the Tokyo subways, they don't run 24/7, but it shows, right? Because it's clean, it's updated, it's
It's
legit.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
But
And
I mean,
easy.
that's kind of the plus negative world of being 24/7, right? You don't get to stop it and work on it.
Right. I mean, I would prefer if we stopped it and worked on it, in my opinion. Like I would rather, yeah. I
I
think
don't
that would
know, man.
be
Like at 3 in the morning, that thing comes in clutch, assuming it shows up.
yeah, but like why not have buses take over the time, like run more buses when it's the middle of the night and there's no traffic anyway. And fix this shit. Like get it done.
No, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm making this up, but I think those tap payment on the subway entrances, what are those called? Like Onyx or something? I don't know. But
But the tap to pay?
yeah, they installed those, I think, ahead of schedule because of the pandemic, and they actually like shut down the subway and stuff like that. Like stuff like that. Like I wouldn't mind if it was like every other weekend or every other week. Yeah, they're not 24/7 just to like repair stuff and fix stuff. That I would be okay with that. But I
Yeah.
do enjoy the 24/7, especially on the weekends
Oh my gosh, for sure.
when I'm up to no good past 2 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. We can't just have it for like degenerates like us, right? Like a lot of people are using it to like get to work in all over the city. So I get it, but also I know we can do better and I hope we do.
Nah, yeah. I also do think that the subway is too cheap.
Oh, you
Like,
think so?
oh yeah. I mean, you go to Tokyo, Hong Kong, you got to tell them where you're going. Even in San Francisco, I think. Um, you got to tell them, hey, I'm getting off at this station, and you pay accordingly to the
Yeah.
distance.
Everywhere
Here,
I've
I can go
been,
from the top of the Bronx to like the furthest part of Queens or Brooklyn and still pay $2.75.
you can go all the way to Staten Island. That ferry's free.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it's like, why are we only charging $2.75 for this thing? I don't know. I think
Yeah.
honestly, we should be paying way more. And for those who are lower income, obviously give them a discount. Because, I mean, we do that anyways, right? If you can't
Yeah.
afford it, we give you a discount, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But everyone else, pay up. Fix the
Yeah.
subway.
Yeah, I agree with that. The tap to enter and exit model. I mean, that's what they use in Amsterdam too, right? Like you put money on your card. Everywhere I've gone in the world is like that. It's not a flat rate. It's very weird.
Yeah. I mean, I admire it. It's awesome. But at the same time, you got to raise those prices. Not only that, but then also, I don't know, get the government out of the way. Like, I'm not anti-government or anything like that. But when I hear the governor fighting with the mayor about what to do, it's like, come on, guys. Like, just get shit done. Come on.
Yeah, enough is enough. Like make progress. You're complaining about being not expensive enough. I was gonna say that tap to pay thing really irks me because I now don't really use my Metro card, and I used to do like the 30-day unlimited, right? So
Yeah.
like you paid a flat rate in that sense, and then you scan and swipe, and like you'll take taking the subway all the time. Now I'm paying for every single ride, even if I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like
Just
I'm,
use the Metro card.
yeah, I just don't do it. I can I
I
can
I
tap my phone now. I
I
don't want
know it's so convenient and it's so much faster.
yeah.
No, I agree. I think the plan is to introduce the unlimited cards into that app or whatever it is, but I don't think they've rolled it out yet.
That is news to me because I was following like when it first came out, all of this pushback from people being like, what the hell? Like, because initially they were going to phase out Metro cards. And then people were like, so we are going to pay every single ride. Like there's no alternative at some point. So if they are going to do, I would totally have the Metro card app. That would be great.
Yeah, that's kind of what they should have done from the get-go, but
I agree. Yeah.
Like the whole urban space, right? Capitalism at the end of the day is going to kind of win out for the most part.
Yep.
If that land is valuable, come on, you got to make money off of it, which kind of makes sense, but you got to save a little bit for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, we need the culture. It's the unique spaces that made New York what it is. We can't just now sell all of that off.
Yeah. That's very true. Well, Jess, it has been an honor talking to you. We need to catch up, like actually hang out. It's been too long.
I know, I agree. Are you still in the Upper East?
No,
You've moved twice, haven't you?
Yeah, so I am actually in Long Island City now.
Oh, nice.
Out in the suburbs. Like it's nice out here, kind of, but I'm also like ready to get out because it's just tall luxury buildings here, and I don't like that too much.
Yeah, there's not enough rats around for you, I guess. You're missing your garbage piles.
Right, I was gonna say it's hard to find garbage piles here, right? So like
craving that grit, you got to get yourself back to Alphabet City every once in a while.
I love Alphabet City. They got some amazing bars out there.
Yeah, amazing everything.
Yeah.
I mean, just don't wear open-toe shoes as you walk through Thompson Square Park because those rats will nibble you. They're coming for you.
I had a friend tell me that literally within a month of moving to New York, a rat just like ran up her leg, and I'm just like, nope, that's never happened to me, and I would probably freak the fuck out.
I would move.
Yeah, I'd be like, hell no.
Oh, well, so great chatting with you, Pablo. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited for everyone to check out the museum, and
I'll post everything, and you can come back on in August and promote everything with the movie festival, because
wonderful.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.